We got Dan coming on. Any word from Odin from anyone?
No, I haven't heard from any Odin at all.
Hey, Trevor. Annie's on. Well, yeah, you gotta hear you.
You have your own microphone, I can.
Annie, can you hear me? There's Dan. Let's see. So we're waiting on Hugh.
Hugh and Langford.
Yep. Oh, I saw someone pop on for a second.
I left Odin a message voicemail today on something totally different subject, and I never heard back from him. He's usually pretty good about calling.
Okay, 7 o'clock. We're going to get started. So per usual, I will read the beginning portion of this. Welcome to our June 16th, 2020 City Council meeting. This meeting is being held remotely. I'd like to go over a few of the logistics so that we can have a productive meeting. Consistent with Governor Inslee's orders 20-2A dated March 24th, 2020, and the continuation of a stay home, stay healthy directive, all public meetings continue to be held remotely. We are following the directions of that order. On this agenda are routine and necessary actions for our council to consider. We also will provide 2 opportunities for the public to make comments. Joining me in the City Council chambers are myself, Mayor Berkner, City Administrator Katie Ellen, City Clerk Ann Swenson, Police Chief Brian Asmus, Operations and Maintenance Director Jen Camp, Trevor Slocum, O&M Crew Lead, Financial Director RJ Stevenson, Lisa Keys, Director of Planning and Engineering, IT Support Todd Henderson. Did I forget anybody? No. Okay. Todd will be the manager of the meeting. As I mentioned earlier, there are 2 opportunities for the public to comment. When that time comes, you can hit the comment tab or the chat tab to raise your hand and acknowledge that you would like to speak. Finally, anyone who is not speaking will be muted until it's time for you to speak. All right, so the first item on the agenda is the invocation. God our Father, I thank you for all the guidance, for all the blessings you provide us each and every day. I ask that you watch over our city and every citizen within it. And I ask that you give us guidance during this very difficult time, from COVID to the protests, and that you remind us all to love each other a little bit more, give each other a little bit more of a break, and to recognize the beauty in each and every one of us. In Jesus' name, amen. All right, Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible. Okay. Call the meeting to order. Roll call. Mayor Pro Tem Mike Kennedy.
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Councilmember Foyer.
Here.
Councilmember Severs. Councilmember Severs. I know he was going to be trying to get on, so we will hold off, see if he can. In the meantime, Councilmember Dunn.
Good evening.
Councilmember Kurtz.
Present.
Councilmember Langford. Councilmember Langford. Councilmember Kamiskas.
Here.
All right. Sean Bouts, are you on the line?
I'm here.
Thank you. Hugh Severs. Okay, I know that he was trying to get on, so can I get somebody to make a motion to excuse the two until either of them come on?
Mr. Mayor, I recommend we excuse Councilmember Langford and Severs until we give them the opportunity to get on the call.
Second.
That was a second by Councilmember Kamiskas. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Okay. Agenda, Mayor Pro Tem Kennedy.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I motion we approve the agenda as presented for this evening.
Second.
Second by Councilmember Kamiskas. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it. Citizen comments. This is your first opportunity to, someone's got a cat in the background. This is your first opportunity as citizens. Thank you for joining us, by the way. Great to see you all on. Anyone that would like to make a comment from the citizen side, you can hit the chat button if you're on the computer, or if not, if I can see you, just wave at me and I'll acknowledge you that you'd like to speak. We'll have another opportunity at the end. Not seeing anyone. Yes, ma'am. Okay, Anne has a citizen comment to read into the record.
City Council and Mayor Brickner, I would like to put forth a suggestion of a new conservation area. I believe in 2016, the city purchased parcel 55226.9035, 43-acre property with a connection at North Liberty Road and East Sprague Avenue. Protecting this area will give the residents of this wonderful city another place to hike, play, and enjoy nature. Thank you for your consideration. Jeremy, I'm going to spell the last name, Niemi, resident at Legacy Ridge Drive.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, I don't know about anybody else,
Yep.
but it was very difficult to hear what that was all about.
If
Anyone else have-
you are, stand by. As a reminder to everybody on the call, if you're not talking, please mute yourself. Pretty gnarly background noise. I wanted to acknowledge that Councilmember Langford is on as well. So he's in attendance. Okay. So can you read that one more time for me, Ann?
City Council and Mayor Brickner, I would like to put forth a suggestion of a new conservation area. I believe in 2016, the city purchased parcel 55226.9035, a 23-acre property with a connection at North Liberty Lake Road and East Sprague Avenue. Protecting this area will give the residents of this wonderful city another place to hike, play, and enjoy nature. Thank you for your consideration. Jeremy, Niemi, Legacy Ridge Drive.
Okay,
Thank you. And
you got that? Okay, any other citizen comment? Once, twice? Okay. Moving on to mayor and city council reports and inquiries. Any council reports? Mr. Foyer, Councilmember Foyer.
Yes, just wanted to report last Thursday, I participated in the Coronavirus Relief Funds for Local Governments webinar. Just a lot of what they discussed, we've already been informed by RJ to the fullest. So I don't want to revisit all of that. I did make a few notes that were worthy of sharing with the group. One of them was the Department of Treasury has some frequently asked questions, some guidelines. I've looked it over several times. It's a great resource for the questions regarding it. Also, the Washington State Department of Commerce has something very similar. So a couple of things that came up, question and answer during that webinar was, one of them was, when the city provides PPE to city businesses, does the business need to acknowledge the supplies in a tax form as a form of income? And the answer to that was no, as long as the city is acknowledging that they've given out the equipment. So businesses don't have to acknowledge it as a taxable income. Let's see, next item was, there was quite a bit of discussion about what the term business interruption actually meant. And it basically is any business that was unable to operate due to non-essential funds could be used to help those with rent, utilities, expenses incurred while the shutdown was in place. Another thing they brought up was they did not want to see any duplication with businesses regarding PPP or other programs that they might have applied for. Let's see, the other thing is, as RJ has already said, identified, all the funds must be incurred first. It's all reimbursable. So that they reiterated that several times. Basically, the city has to fund any of this money if you want to try to help a business and get reimbursed. So there was a lot of talk about cash flow. How do the cities do that? That kind of thing. And then in conclusion, they were really encouraging. There was a lot of representatives from throughout the area on the call. They were encouraging we all work together, and the Commerce would be happy to take the lead on that. So that's all I have to report.
And to Councilmember Foyer's point, when a business comes to pick up their supplies, we have them sign a document, a form with all their information for our records to make sure we're documenting everything properly on what businesses are coming to pick supplies up. We've had a great response so far, and we've continued to have a good response. We had more businesses come in today, at least 3 to 4 that I counted while I was here. So it's continuing to be a great program. Other organizations are starting to follow suit. Other cities are still deciding what they want to do. Some have started to mimic what we are doing. Others are still having further discussions. Councilmember Dunn, I believe you had your hand up next.
Yeah, I was invited to participate with Central Valley School District in a planning and organizing committee regarding school operations for the 2020-21 school year. The district is right now in the throes of trying to map out and plan for what the students of our community will be participating in is what we think of as in-person public instruction. The district, I'll say as comparison to municipal governments, has not yet received CARES Act-based funding through Washington State, where we've, as a city, been able to work with Commerce to receive CARES Act-based federal support. The state has not yet levied or put that dollar amounts or reimbursements through for school district operations, which I bring to everybody's attention as, in my opinion, an imperative. The operations of the schools in our community, I think, are every measure as important as the operations of our municipals. It was a great chance to have visibility and understanding to what the district has got to deal with. Schools are, to be very clear, epicenters of, we'll say, potential communication of virus. And so what they have to work with right now is a set of guidelines issued by OSPI, giving them a framework of here's what must be accomplished. And now the districts are set about to say, here's how we're going to do that to fit our community. First of many meetings to discuss. I don't have any insight for you as to the operations of our elementaries or yet our middle schools. Suffice to say, part of the OSPI guidelines will be that educators and students will be wearing cloth face coverings as a definition throughout an in-person school day. So outside of that, we begin now this process. They talk about through transportation and meal service and all those other things that are necessary to make our schools run. So I'll try and provide insight to this group for knowledge of what the district's staff is preparing. Their board will be deciding on that action then, I think the latter part of July, that will be secured. So.
Yes, you saved me having a hit on the topic. I was on that same call. I think after our meeting though, Dan, there was an email that came out that some dollars are actually going to be allocated to the school districts. So more to come. So hopeful they'll get funds that they need. Any other council members? Mayor Pro Tem Kennedy.
Mr. Mayor, thank you. Probably all the council received in their email today from AWC that as of today, we had not received or given our voting delegates to the AWC for the meeting next week. We're going to need to get that handled. It said in the email that we need to, by 5 p.m. on Tuesday, the 23rd, when we need 3 delegates for that.
Is there anyone that plans on attending?
Yeah, I'm registered for it.
I'm registered.
Anyone else? Well, I think
I'll
we've
check
got
my
2
calendar tomorrow.
process of elimination. Okay. If you do want to be a voting delegate, can you let Ann know? And we'll get the information to AWC.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Any other council reports? Okay, not hearing any. From my perspective, it continues to be a busy week, as you can imagine. Our COVID meetings are starting to become smaller and smaller. From the county side, they are guiding more of it toward the health district. So the number of people in attendance has gotten smaller and smaller. They're continuing to talk about dollars and how they're going to be utilized on a county level. We had our second farmers market. This one was a little chillier for sure. Speaking of farmers market, please make sure and let Jen know if you want to work one of those events so we don't have too many people there. I believe so far myself will be there this Saturday. Not sure who else might be in attendance.
I can make it if nobody else can.
Okay, that was Councilmember Kamiskas. This last weekend, I think it was, Chief, or Yeah, my days are getting mixed up. There were a number of moms that wanted to do a special acknowledgement of all the seniors that were graduating from Liberty Lake. And we had that over at Orchard Park. It was a great event. There was music playing and pictures being taken. Every senior had huge smiles on their face. All around, just a great event. And it was, the kids said it was probably one of their favorite things through all of this that was going on, to be able to be recognized by family and friends, driving by honking and waving as they were standing 6 feet apart, celebrating their graduation. So great event overall. We had a director's meeting this morning, and some of the stuff that I discussed with Jocelyn and the library staff was to look at having some more cultural events. And I talked to Farmers Market about the same thing, to recognize and acknowledge the beauty in all the different cultures within our community. So hopeful for that. I'm not going to steal Chief's thunder on the stuff he's going to talk about. We were trying to think of different ways to work with other businesses. In having conversations today, or yeah, even this morning, about phase 3, it wasn't looking very hopeful. The Dr. Lutz was going to support us going into a phase 3. He talked about a phase 2.5, if you will, which would allow our library to open up, but naturally there's things that have to be worked out before that were to happen. So Jocelyn and her team feel comfortable and confident that they're doing everything that they need to do on their end. But in thinking about, and they are still considering smaller towns on the state level, but everyone's kind of pointing the finger at the other, saying that your local health district has to be involved, and then your local health district says the state health district has to get you on their list. So it's a lot of back and forth who's supposed to give guidance. So in consideration of that, looking at the COVID dollars, we had the idea of reaching out to local businesses that could expand their seating to outdoor seating, which will help them be able to work with more patrons. So we reached out to a number of businesses, and I believe 3 are going to take us up on it so far, some of which are in the business corridor, if you will, along Liberty Lake Road. And what we discussed with them was utilizing, first we contacted Vanderbilt to make sure he was good with it. They had no problems. They thought it was actually a great idea to do, is to provide some fencing and tables through the COVID dollars so they could expand their seating to the parking area right up against the businesses that would need it. Obviously, we would keep the handicap stalls opened up, but for the businesses that wanted to expand for their outdoor seating, they would utilize those front parking areas in front of their business to be able to expand their seating options. Any questions? Okay. Not hearing any, we will move on to the city administrator report.
Okay, good evening, thank you, Mayor. I forgot to say Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers when it was Mother's Day, but this Sunday is Father's Day, so I just wanted to say Happy Father's Day to all of our council members and the mayor that are fathers in our community. On that note, I just wanted to do a quick update on COVID, update on PPE, and I know the mayor talked quite a bit about the new things that we were expanding and offering to our community so that our businesses, so they could open up. Wanted to let the council know so far 62 businesses have taken advantage of our PPE supplies, and we've moved the operation from the police department to City Hall. Kind of give a shout out, it's Monday through Friday, 8 to 4:30, and the only requirement is that you be a livery-like business. So it's been well received, and we'll continue providing those products as long as the funds and the supplies are available. The other thing is, this is probably a little bit redundant, but just a reminder that we have hired some temporary employees to be COVID cleaners, and they are working in our community, in our restaurants, in our restrooms at the park, City Hall, the library, and our police department to sanitize and clean spaces that the public and our workers frequent, as well as areas that are touched multiple times. So it's really been a huge benefit to our community to have these dollars, to hire these folks so that we can control and clean things that need to be taken care of.
Real quick, Katie.
Yeah.
For the record, Councilmember Severs has joined us.
Hey, guys.
Go ahead.
And then kind of helping us, taking orders for the fencing and tables that Mayor Brickner mentioned, I just wanted to say a great big thank you to Tom Sahlberg and Mark Sabo, who has been out going door to door to our businesses. We really have limited resources, and their volunteer effort has just expanded the things that we could do for our community by a lot. And so I just wanted to express my appreciation for that. The phase status, you know, probably everything I was going to say you already know. One thing that I'll mention, we don't know at this point in time when the Spokane County will be making application for phase 3. So our next council meeting is July 7th. We're going to have to just, you know, work with the information that we have and keep you up to date as to what our expectations are before the meeting. I do want to mention that there's something called Granicus. It's a software product we purchased to manage our meetings and do a whole lot of other things, keeping records and also managing vote tallies. We are in the process of uploading that, and all of you will be trained. We'll have more information in the future, so this is just a heads up that we will have Granicus training for you. July 7th may be our first meeting to run the agenda with Granicus. And then I'm going to ask RJ to give us a quick update on our financial picture, budget-wise, and where we are with some of our expenditures.
Yeah. So we're still in the month of June, and last time we reported was May financial data, and we were really waiting for the end of this month to get a clear picture on what sales tax is doing. So we'll get a sales tax number for April sales here next week. So by the July 7th meeting, we should have a fairly solid half-year picture for you all to review. And my goal is to get that in to you on July 3rd, so you have some time to review those numbers. So since the last time we talked, there isn't really a whole lot of updates to the where we were at last meeting. Property taxes, we're still about 6% down from where we should have been at this time last year. But just so you know, the treasurer, county treasurer, did extend when your property taxes were due to June 16th. So we are expecting on July 10th to see where we actually where those actual numbers will be. We do have the contract with Commerce executed, and they've signed it. We're getting ready to start invoicing them soon for some of our COVID costs. With tracking staff and the expenses, right now our estimate is we'll have a couple invoices to Commerce going out. Will be about $50,000. About half of that's for staff. The other half is supplies that we've bought since that time. And I'll have a warm update on July 7th where we're exactly at invoicing for those dollars.
And I do continue to check in with all of our local businesses every week throughout this that I get a chance to talk to. Some of the bigger ones are continuing to see good sales in cars and RVs. Restaurant business has picked up some, but still not where they would hope it is. So, but the car and RV sales are doing very well right now.
Okay, Chief Asmus is going to give us an update on public safety.
Evening, Mayor, members of the council. Late this afternoon, I emailed out to each of you an article that I prepared that will go into the July edition of the Splash. And really that article comes from numerous questions, phone calls, emails, social media comments related to Liberty Lake public safety with what's all going on with the recent protests, and what are we doing as a public safety agency to address some of the issues that people are protesting about. So the article explains a little bit about that, but doesn't go into great detail because I'm limited as to how many words I can use in that article. But I really am looking forward to having a town hall meeting that we will schedule once we are in phase 3 of the Safe Start phasing by the governor, so that we can have a large enough group together to really address the community and answer questions and listen to what their concerns are and provide some detail about how it is that we conduct law enforcement services here in Liberty Lake. So specifically, what I really am going to be focusing on is our organizational culture. That's really important as to how we do policing, our philosophy, our core values, and then specifically getting into what our policies currently are, specifically in the use of force, our non-biased policing policies. You hear a lot about is there a duty for officers to intervene if they see something that's inappropriate? And yes, we do have that policy in place and trained to that. And then to talk a little bit about our training program, the de-escalation training that all officers are required to go to, but most importantly, to listen to the community's concerns and be able to address and answer their questions. So that is to be determined, the date for that, location to be determined, but I'm really looking forward to reaching out to the community to answer their concerns. So that's all I have for now. Happy to answer questions.
Any questions for Chief?
More of a
I
comment.
just speak in great support to Chief Asmus and Mayor Brickner, and the letter was composed providing a statement, a position for the city with respect to action. And Chief Bryan, you're also your compliment to the Splash and reemphasizing the policies that we have in place. To me, goes a long way in making an impression and making clear our position, our city and our police department. I'm very grateful for this work. I think it's really important that we make a voice at this time. So thanks.
Absolutely. Council members.
Just to reiterate what Dan just said. Yeah, thank you. I just feel like we're in a lucky spot, thanks to the leadership from Chief Asmus, but the whole police department. We're in a really lucky spot in Liberty Lake. I was asked earlier today by one of our citizens, what's our position and where are we at and all these things. I said, look, I feel like our citizens fully support our police department, and that's thanks to what you guys do. You guys are nothing but professional. You've been that for a long time, and we're very fortunate for that. So some of the article was well written and nice to, and I'll reiterate what Dan said, just put a voice out there. So thanks for all you guys are doing.
Any other comments or questions for the chief? Okay, not hearing any, we'll move on.
The next item I have is Harvard and Henry Road. I actually double noticed this, so we have a workshop on it, so I'll get down to item number 4, which is our council retreat. August 2nd, got the most votes. I hope that Sunday works for everyone. The retreat will be from 12 to 6 p.m. I'm not sure that we'll fill the full 6 hours, but for noticing purposes, we were going to notice it for those 6 hours. We still need agenda ideas, and so we will send out we will send out the items that we received in the past, and just looking for some good feedback from all of you on what priorities what agenda items you want to include. I will pass this on to Letitia Hill. She and Melanie Rose are with Avista, and as part of their Avista's supporting public agencies, they will be, they volunteered to assist us in the facilitation of that meeting. So with that, I'm going to move on. Last council meeting, we talked about some of the city facilities that we have, And I just wanted all the council to know that I've been in contact with a local realtor who's going to be putting together some valuation of our 6.4 and our 22 or 23 acres. Hope to have, our goal is to have that information to all of you so that we can be aware of those values during our retreat. Also, the mayor and I will be walking City Hall, I think not tomorrow, but the next day, with the appraiser who's going to come in and let us know what our site is worth. Hopefully, all this information we'll put it all together so that during the retreat, we can have a very productive conversation. The other thing I was going to mention, I'm moving on to number 5, personnel policy. Over the course of time, the state of Washington has had many, many changes when it comes to personnel law, personnel policies. We have a policy document that is in need of being updated. It's not an expertise that I have, and RJ has done a really good job of keeping a lot of it up to date, but there's some technical things, some legal things that we really need an expert to help us with. So we've been in contact with someone that has that expertise. This person actually has been working in the field for 14 years. She's had a number of employers, and she's given us a proposal to basically update our personnel policy from cover to cover, recognizing all the current laws and regulations associated with personnel benefits and policies and sick leave and family leave and all those things. The proposal that we have is for $1,800. That's $1,800. And we would really like to get it done by the end of the year. And she was able to meet that schedule. And then we want to share with our employees. It's very difficult for us to communicate our policies with our employees when our policies are dated. So hopefully the council can support us in moving forward with that expenditure. If there's any questions, feel free to give RJ or myself or the mayor a call.
Councilmember Kamiskas?
Just real quick, Katie, I forgot to mention, Keith did confirm that we have the big meeting room at the portal for the retreat on 8/2.
Perfect, appreciate that. So the August 2nd retreat will be at the Tier Point portal, and we will get an address and everything put into the record. Thank you.
Councilmember Kennedy's hand is up.
Thank you. Katie, on number 6, personnel policy, we'll have that, put that on the next meeting's agenda for that expenditure.
I certainly can. The contract, she gave us a proposal. Our city attorney, Sean Bounce, is reviewing the proposal. Yes, certainly I can bring it back on the agenda.
Thank you.
Councilmember Kurtz.
When we were talking about the retreat last, we talked about, I think, doing a doodle poll for prioritizing some of the topics. Were we still looking at doing that?
Yes, with the help of some technical people, we'll put together a doodle poll. So the people, well, so I think that's really a great suggestion, because we really want to spend the time focusing on things that are important to the full council. And so we'll put a doodle poll together, and you can help us prioritize the topics we've already received.
Thank you.
But don't let that prevent you from sending in your topic ideas. Please, 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 please.
I'm going to ask, Mayor, did we lose our connection? Stasis has kind of left the...
I still can see everything.
Oh, you can?
But
okay.
I'm connected.
So I'm looking here, we can't, and I'm not being able to see it.
That's okay. I still got them.
Okay, very good. I'll just keep moving. So the last thing I had is related to advanced reservations and programs. Summer reading program, we mentioned this last week. They had a June 15th through August 15th date. The program is underway, and Jocelyn is on this Zoom call, and she let us know today that I guess the adult program is going like gangbusters, going very, very well. She has 80 adults that are participating in the summer reading program. Farmers Market we've had 2 under our belts, and will continue to be open on Saturdays from 9 to 1 at Town Square. Skyhawk Sports Camp are planning to start next week with protocols in place that comply with all the state regulations. The 4th of July fireworks, 10 p.m. on the 4th of July, which this year is a Saturday. Barefoot in the Park, Saturday, August 1st. At this point in time, a lot of planning is going into that, and we will have an update as the event gets closer to August 1st. And then finally, FOPP is trying to put together a summer schedule. Their schedule is still pending, but as soon as we have more information regarding some of the activities they're planning, movies and the like, we will pass that on. But at this time, their schedule is pending.
Real quick, for the farmer's market on the 27th of this month, I'm actually going to give myself a break. I haven't had one for a while, so I won't be at that one. So if there's 2 council members that would like to attend the June 27th farmer's market, there will be another slot open and available. Okay. Okay, any questions for Katie before we move on? Councilmember Kamiskas.
Just really actually for Jen, I see you hanging out there quietly. And also for Jocelyn, if there's any information you guys have that we can have at the farmers market booth with regards to the summer reading program and the Skyhawks camps, it's always, those things are always popular for our residents to pick up. Thank you.
Okay.
We can do that.
Any other questions or comments from the council before we continue on? Not hearing any. All right. Workshop discussion. We'll start out with Henry Road Overpass design update.
So I had a conversation with Mike Gribner this afternoon and asked if there was a status update on the funding for our Harvard and or our Henry Road, and there's not. Probably we'll know in the next couple of weeks where we are, but tonight I don't have the information, good, bad, or indifferent. So we continue to work on the Henry Road design. We're approximately 30%. Some of you have been to City Hall. You've had a chance to look at the footprint and the profile, and that continues to be worked. One thing I wanted to show you, I think Anna's going to help me put a schematic of the roundabout at Mission and Henry over on the north side of I-90. Are we able to put that up, Anna? Okay, I think Todd's going to help us put it up. So on the north end of the Henry Road overpass is a roundabout. I'm going to have them scroll down a little bit so you have a chance to look at it. So basically north would be to your left, and Mission is up and down, and then Henry to the south is on your right. If you notice this roundabout, it's going to be a design very similar to the ones that we have in Liberty Lake, where we really focus the vegetation more in the middle and having good visibility around the perimeter. Also a lot of crosswalks and those kinds of things. I want to just point out 2 things. So one is to the north, which again is to your left. The goal is that we are working with a developer so that that northern leg of the roundabout would connect to Indiana. So as that river, probably the roundabout will go in before the developer constructs that infrastructure, but the overall goal is that there be that continuity of connection with Henry Road going north towards Indiana, which will be an important connection for our River District community. The other thing I wanted to point out is this roundabout is a little bit what we call oblate, and that is because Lisa had to work very closely with Western States. They have some very large pieces of equipment that need to get into and out of their site, and so those design and turning radiuses affected the way that this roundabout is shaped. So we've focused that in, and so far we have thumbs up from the engineer for Western States that this roundabout design will work. So the other work that is pretty much done is a cultural analysis, the geotech, the survey, trying to get all the footprint done, the schematic and everything. We will have a workshop in the future, and if you want to swing by City Hall, I'd love to show you some of the details in the larger plan. But the design is coming together. So with that, I don't have any more information unless you have questions.
Any questions from the council? Not hearing any. We will move on to Ball field reservation policy.
Okay, good evening, council, mayor. Council members, I wanted to first start off with putting this in your minds. If you have questions, please think about what those questions are, let me know. But before you ask questions, I thought I'd give you a brief update of our conversations that we've been having regarding ball field reservation policies. It's been a crazy year, and we've had some teams that haven't been able to play on our field as scheduled. These teams schedule the field early on in the season. Once the team has scheduled the field, it's their field, it's first come, first serve. If there is a situation where a game is canceled or it's rained out or COVID happens and they can't play, we allow them first priority to reschedule. However, we do allow the teams that have scheduled already to continue to hold those reservations, and we don't let those go. So the team that locked out on reservations is given the opportunity to reschedule with any open times that we have that aren't scheduled previously. So with that being said, the other thing I think I wanted to point out is CV has first priority of our fields per the agreement that we signed with them, a year ago? So they had some dates scheduled, but they are early in the spring when school is still in, and obviously those fell through because school was let out, and they are rescheduling. Second priority is any team that has the bulk of their kids as Liberty Lake residents, for example, Riverview Little League, they always have a top priority. And then third priority are teams that maybe come in from the outside. SIYB is a good example. They do have Liberty Lake kids. They're always one of the first ones in the season to schedule. They have dates scheduled as of right now, starting I think in July. So with that being said, we have a reservation application form that every team fills out, and one of the statements in that form is applicants may request one reschedule for each day of canceled usage if approved. The date of reschedule may not interfere with any standing reservations and must be approved in writing from appropriate city staff. So I just wanted to clarify that. If there are any questions, I do have Trevor Slocum here, who also, he's my key guy for managing baseball reservations. But if there are any questions, please let me know.
Any questions from the council?
Mayor, I do have one.
Councilmember Langford.
Thank you, sir. Jen, has there been any provisions or attempt to revise times that would allow for double hitters on particular days, one by one team, another by another team?
Okay, to clarify, do you mean scheduling two teams in one day on the same field, but like back-to-back games?
Correct.
Yes, we have offered that.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the council? Not hearing any. Move on to action items. Mayor Pro Tem Kennedy.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Consent agenda 1, motion to approve May 26, 2020 special city council minutes.
Second.
Second.
Second from Councilmember Langford. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it.
Consent agenda 2, motion to approve June 2nd, 2020 city council minutes.
Second.
Second by Councilmember Kurtz. All in favor?
Aye.
Any
Aye.
discussion?
Oh, discussion.
Discussion.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I was just asking, we're forgetting to say any discussion.
Oh. Not hearing any. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Consent agenda 3, motion to approve June
Hang
16th.
on. Hang on. Opposed?
Sorry.
Not hearing any. Ayes have it. Go ahead.
That would lead to a discussion, wouldn't it? Motion to approve consent agenda 3, approve June 16, 2020 vouchers in the amount of $585,773.46.
Second.
There a second? Second by Councilmember Langford. Comments or questions? Councilmember Foyer.
I just have one question on the expenses regarding the COVID portion of the breakdown. Just curious, have we applied for reimbursement and has that happened?
The contract was just finally executed on Commerce's side last week. We will be submitting for invoices later this week, going all the way up until July. So,
just curious to see how long that process takes.
the indication is that they were hoping I could turn around within 2 weeks.
Thank you.
We're hopeful that it's 2 weeks. Any other comments? Not hearing any. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Not hearing any. Ayes have it. Resolution. Pam.
Resolution number 20-275, City of Liberty Lake, Spokane County, Washington. A resolution of the City of Liberty Lake, Washington regarding final completion of the Rocky Hill North 5th Edition plat located in a portion of the southeast quarter and the Section 11, Township 25N, Range 45 EWM, Liberty Lake, Washington, File P-11-0001E.
Lisa.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council members. We have before you this evening Rocky Hill North 5th Edition final plat. Just a little bit of background, Rocky Hill North preliminary plat was approved in 2011. It involved 67 acres and change, 327 lots, 12 tracks, and public streets. Rocky Hill North 5th Edition entails 8.95 acres, 30 parcels, one public street, Mike Peak Road, and it includes 2 tracks. But you might be interested to know where we're at in the process. So to date, there have been 206 lots platted on 54 acres. The remaining approval is for 119 lots on 13.57 acres, which is 8.76 units per acre. I just want to point out that the remaining area in Rocky Hill is actually in an R2 zone, which allows density, a net density of 6 to 12 acres per unit. It's doubtful that they're going to do that level of density on the last 13 acres. To this point, the density of the development has been less than what was preliminarily platted. But I think based upon the pattern for platting, they have 1, possibly 2 more phases to be platted. So again, now they have most of the infrastructure is installed at this point. We have approved their estimates for performance bond on 2 minor things, as well as warranty bonds on the construction that has been permitted. We will not be recording the final plat until the performance bond is in place. But that we should be within the next week or so have all of the final paperwork in place to do that. So we're asking for your final approval of Rocky Hill North 5th Edition to be recorded as soon as all conditions of approval have been met. I stand for any questions.
Any questions by the council? We have a motion.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Motion to approve resolution number 275.
Second.
Second.
Second by Councilmember Kamiskas. Any further discussion? Not hearing any? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Ordinance.
Ordinance number 264C, City of Liberty Lakes, Spokane County, Washington. An ordinance amending ordinance number 264 passed by the City Council on December 17, 2019, entitled, an ordinance of the City of Liberty Lake, Washington, adopting a budget for the period January 1, 2020 through December 31, 2020, appropriating funds and establishing salary schedules for established positions.
RJ, regarding this topic specifically, do we need to fast track this and suspend the rules for a second?
That's the request. Since we've already approved the contract with Commerce, this would just fall in line with what action council already taken and get the budget amendment in place. And technically, from a legal standpoint, it authorizes the expenditure plus recognizing the revenue.
Okay. With
Yes,
that
Mr.
request in place, can
Yeah,
I get a
Mr.
motion?
Yes, I was going to make a motion because of the recommendation of staff. We do not have a second reading to ordinance number 264C.
So the
the
motion is
motion
to
is-
suspend the rules?
Yes,
Yes.
the motion is to suspend the rules and do a second read on this topic. Second by Councilmember Langford. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Ayes have it. Second read, Ann.
Ordinance number 264C, City of Liberty Lake, Spokane County, Washington. An ordinance amending ordinance number 264 passed by the City Council on December 17, 2019, entitled, an ordinance of the City of Liberty Lake, Washington, January 1, 2020 through December 31, 2020, appropriating funds and establishing salary schedules for established positions.
Okay.
I move the ordinance is read.
Second.
Motion, Councilmember Langford. Was there a second?
Second from Councilmember Severs.
Second by Councilmember Dunn. I saw his hand up, jumping up before you spoke, Councilmember Severs. Citizen comments regarding ordinance number 264C. If there's any citizen comments, you can hit the chat button. If you don't have that available, not hearing any. Any further comments or questions from the council? Not hearing any. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Ordinance
Aye.
264C. Any, all opposed? Ayes have it. Ordinance number 266, Sam.
Ordinance number 266, City of Liberty Lake, Spokane County, Washington. An ordinance of the City of Liberty Lake, Washington, authorizing the maximum capacity of a local sales and use tax to fund investments in affordable and supportive housing to be codified at Title II, Chapter 3 of the City of Liberty Lake Municipal Code, providing for severability and establishing an effective date.
Lisa?
So as you may recall, back in December of 2019, City Council did pass resolution number 19-261, declaring their intent to adopt legislation to authorize the sales and use tax for affordable and supportive housing. In accordance with the substitute House Bill 1406, which was enacted in the 2019 session. What that bill did was it allowed basically local governments, county and cities, to take a portion of the existing local sales tax. Specifically, it was 0.0146% local sales tax, and for them to apply it specifically to affordable and supportive housing, recognizing that we're experiencing a housing crisis. In adopting the resolution, the county has also adopted the resolution. So of that 0.146% of the state sales tax that can be applied to this, 0.0073% goes to the county, and with the adoption of this ordinance, 0.0073% will go to the City of Liberty Lake to apply towards, again, this affordable and supportive housing. Based on our the local sales tax that we collect, this is projected to be about $30,000 a year. So it's not a huge sum of money, but it does enable the city to become partners with other entities in trying to address the affordable housing crisis. And anyhow, long story short is that this ordinance is required to be passed by July 27th for you to take advantage of it. It was a two-part process. First, the resolution of intent, and then the adoption of the ordinance. The city has, at your behest and the mayor's behest, has been in conversations with other entities which we could potentially partner with. As you already know, we are members of the Spokane County Consortium for the Community Development Block Grant Consortium. That is one possible entity that we could consolidate our funds with to provide a housing program. Other entities include Spokane, the City of Spokane, or the City of Spokane Valley, and the mayor's had conversations specifically with the mayor of Spokane Valley with some ideas about how these funds could be used to help teen homelessness. We've also had some conversations with the Spokane Valley Community Partners on possibility of providing some funds towards through an interlocal agreement or an interagency agreement to provide funds for rental assistance. So we have a variety of choices. This ordinance does not decide how the city is going to use their funds yet. That will come back to you at a later date. This is just the ordinance that is required for us to be able to receive those funds to be directed at affordable housing issues. With that, I again stand for any questions.
And just as a reminder, not only for the council, but for anyone else that's on the call joining us today for the meeting, these are not new taxes, no new taxes. This is a part of coming out of the existing taxes that we already pay. Lisa can send you guys some of the options so you guys can look them over and think about how we might want to utilize those, but just more for us to be cognizant that this is coming down as this is the first read ordinance. Any comments or questions for Lisa? Councilmember Kamiskas?
Oh, good, my video's back? I wasn't sure. Sorry, I had actually hung up. My request would be that as we go through this process and we're evaluating who we want to partner with, that maybe whether it's in person when we get back together or invite them to a Zoom meeting, a representative from that agency join us to kind of let us know, the council know how that money will be used.
Councilmember Langford, I saw your hand.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. In regards to what organization we support, I would be really interested in finding out how many dollars from our tax share would actually be spent for the purpose versus payroll, administrative costs, overhead, etc. And personally, I'd be likely to go with the organization that spends more on the actual function than they do on themselves.
Any other comments or questions from the council? Lisa, I did have a question for the purpose of the council. As we get closer to that, can those dollars, do they all have to be allocated to one entity, or can you divvy them up?
You could actually divvy them up. Again, we have a very limited amount, only $30,000 per year is our projection. So, but yes, you could go with a variety of different organizations.
So we have options available. Okay, since that was a first read, any other comments from the council? Okay, introduction of upcoming agenda items.
July 7th, we have 2 items on the agenda. One is a public hearing and a first read related to the vacation of right-of-way on Harvard Parkway. And the second item that we have is the second read ordinance on what we just discussed, the local state shared tax for affordable and supportive housing, House Bill 1406. And we also will be bringing back a personnel policy contract for services.
Okay, this is our second opportunity for citizen comments. Any citizen comments? Mr. Stanley, can you unmute him? There you go. Mr. Stanley, go ahead.
All right, thank you guys. No, I just wanted to put my 2 cents in on as far as the reserving of the ball fields. So on May 7th, I asked for help regarding the reservations of the field after an unprecedented pandemic shutdown. I think we all can agree on that. The response I received from him was disappointing. First, he told me that I can use the fields if no one shows up. As you can imagine, this is not a viable option. Second, he told me when he was president of a baseball league, he reserved through proper channels. This was not helpful because when he was reserving fields, he did not experience a pandemic shutdown. I had a problem and took it up with the mayor of the city where I live and volunteer my time. All I got was a resume and a non-viable option. So forgive me if my subsequent emails seemed angry, because I was. I volunteer for a league that has over 200 kids, half of which reside in Liberty Lake. We have always gone through, quote unquote, proper channels. In a time of need, our city failed us. I'm not asking for a lot. Provided we are allowed to move into stage 3, I'm asking only for help on 5 days out of 2 months of reservations. I'd like the city to work with both leagues during an unparalleled time in our city, state, and nation. If this was a normal year, I would not be here asking for help. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Stanley. Any other citizen comments? I'm looking for Todd, not hearing any. Councilmember Langford, I see your hand up. He's on mute. Stand by, Councilmember Langford. There we go.
Okay, sorry about that. I just wanted to ask RJ one thing, and in reference to an email that went out, I believe it was last week or the week before, that the city was debt-free. Is that still accurate?
Yes, we're debt-free.
Well, I would like
Yes.
to take this opportunity to make a big deal out of that, because there's very few cities that can say that. especially under the current circumstances. And this is where we actually finished off paying some of our outstanding debt. So to you, your crew, all the staff, to the mayor, and the rest of the city council who has influenced decisions over the past years, thank you. You know that this was something that was dear to my heart. I appreciate any of the support that y'all gave to make this happen. And again, we should seriously contemplate where we go from here when it comes to putting the city into further debt for the value received of it. But in the meantime, job well done, guys. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Langford. It's a great celebration to be able to be debt-free, one of the few cities that can say that. And I second Councilmember Langford's thoughts. It was a lot of great foresight and hard work to make sure that we were good stewards of our community's finances. I do also want to take a moment to acknowledge all of our staff. As you know, we've been having staff meetings on a regular basis to give them up-to-date on COVID and where we're at with everything, and just seeing how things are going out in the field for all of them. I can't thank the staff enough across the board for all their hard work. Everybody has played a tremendous role in the response to COVID, not just locally, but on a regional level, from mayors of other cities as well as commissioners. Everybody really stepped up to respond as swiftly and as responsibly as possible to this COVID situation. So thank you to all the staff. If you get a chance and see them out, please pat them on the back, give them an elbow since we're not shaking hands. But they all did an amazing, amazing job and continue to do so. Anita, along with the help of some others, put together a really cool slide deck that she posted on Facebook in recognition of our 2020 graduates, which was also pretty awesome to see. So thank you. Okay, we will be moving into executive session regarding real estate in 5 minutes. That will be 8:15 for everybody. We will be coming out in we'll give it 20 minutes with no further actions, and we will adjourn the meeting once the executive session is over. So for all the citizens that attended, thank you very much, and we'll see the council here in a few minutes.